What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're here for another Dynasty trade review show. 10 trades loaded up into our video today, submitted in our free Discord. So if you're not a member of that Discord, make sure you go join that. That's going to be linked in the description. That way, on our next episode, you hopefully have a chance to get your trades reviewed. But we cannot do this today without my co-host. Let's get MFGDs into the building and let's start talking some Dynasty trades. War, how we doing, man?
You heard him. You heard the man. MFGD's in the building.
I'm doing good. Let's get it.
Doing
Look,
good.
we got 10 trades today. I know we don't got a lot of time, but we're going to get through all of these regardless. Let's just pull the first trade up on the screen. And the first trade that we're going to be working with here today is a doozy, starting it off with a banger. 10-team, super flex, full PPR, and tight end premium. The context is the draft picks that we're getting here are late or projected to be late because this is a contending roster. You get Jahmyr Gibbs. You had to give up Christian McCaffrey, a 26 first-round pick, and a 2028 first-round pick. Like I said, both of those projected late. But War, how you feeling about CMC and 2 firsts for Jahmyr Gibbs?
Ooh, this is a toughie. I'm going to go with the Jahmyr Gibbs side. Let me tell you why. Because that second first is 2028, and that is 2020 late.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too far into the future for me. So, I mean, I can't even really get excited about it because I don't necessarily know what's going to be happening in 2028, or even if the world is still going to be here in 2028. What I do know is that Jahmyr Gibbs is an absolute fucking dog, bro. Is that, and I want that dog on my team. I want that dog off a leash on my team. And that's the side I'm going to go with. Much respect to McCaffrey. I think he's going to have an excellent year. 2026 first. Yay. But nay on this trade as far as the Christian McCaffrey side. I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, he's a player that I think a lot of people think is going to bounce back this year. Obviously, you know, there's still longevity concerns with CMC, health concerns with CMC. We need to see it, I think, for us to feel a little bit more confident in him. And then even if he does have that good, confident year, this is a running back that's going to be 30 years old, you know, in 2026. So I think that's a lot to consider. When it comes to a contending roster, a 10-team league, consolidation. That is all I am preaching. I think getting to Jahmyr Gibbs is giving you a top 2 dynasty running back. It's him or Bijan, whoever you want. It doesn't really matter to me. That is the top tier. But give me Jahmyr Gibbs here, man. I don't think the price is too hefty. It's expensive, which is the cost you have to pay to go get Gibbs, but it's not too hefty for me to go buy Jahmyr Gibbs here.
Right on the money, Andrew. Right on the money.
All right, let's move on to this next trade. The next trade we got here is 12-team, super flex, full PPR, tight end premium, and start 11. Looks very similar to the last trade in a way, but this time it's going the other direction. This time you are down tiering your Nico Collins, but you get Jordan Addison, a 26 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick thrown into the mix. So is Addison and those 2 firsts worth down tiering Nico Collins?
I got a feeling I know which direction you're going to go in this trade, but I'm going to go with the Jordan Addison and the 2 first side because, first of all, I respect Jordan Addison a little more than some other people in the fantasy dynasty community. I think Jordan Addison's a stud. And then when I look and see 27 first round pick in there, that's not too far into the future. We kind of got some kind of idea, at least what that draft class might look like. And we're getting another first. There's no shade to Nico Collins. Nico Collins is an absolute stud. And in its totality, I think this trade is even from my perspective. Even some might say the Nico Collins side wins a little bit. But me personally, if I'm trying to rebuild, I'm going with the 23-year-old wide receiver, the 2 first round picks, and one in particular that is in 2027.
Yeah, I think this one's a lot closer and a lot more. There's definitely points you can make on either side of this one. So I think right here, I kind of lean Nico Collins, but I could be argued either way. I think when it really comes down to it, it does come down to team context. The fact that this is a 12-team start 11, you know, you can argue that the depth is a little bit more important. You know, having the hammers is obviously still important as well. And Nico Collins is definitely a player that we would consider a hammer in fantasy football. But I think the context of like, are you a fringe playoff team? Are you a rebuilding team? Are you a super strong contender would sway me. And I think that context would help me. If you're a strong contender, I'm taking Nico Nico Collins. If you're anything other than that, I think you can argue that Addison in the 2 first is maybe a little bit of a better deal. The only difference is with Nico Collins, I feel like I have a player that can be a top 5 fantasy football wide receiver on a week by week basis. With Jordan Addison, it's like he might give me top 10, top 12 spike weeks, but I think most of the time he's a wide receiver 2 for me. So you are losing a lot of that high end upside, I think, when you're down tiering. But like you said, you get that 27 first, depending on where that lands. You know, we're talking about some pretty good players in that class, at least that we're projecting. 26, it's not as exciting, but I think there's still going to be players there that we can get excited about. This one's closer. I think it's probably a fair deal. I wish we had the context of rebuilding or contending or just where you were last year. But in a bubble, if I have to pick a side, I'm picking Nico Collins. But like I said, this is a fair deal for me.
Spot on, man. I feel the same way, fair and
All right, let's
square.
move on, man. Let's go to the next one. 12 team super flex, half PPR, no tight end premium, 3 starting wide receivers, and it is a start 9 type of league. You are going to get Brock Purdy and Brian Thomas Jr., which you give up is Puka Nacua, Jerry Jeudy, and Tucker Kraft. How do you feel about this? Obviously, you know, the big fish in this trade is Thomas and Nacua. But what about the other stuff too?
I'm gonna go to Purdy and BTJ side. And once again, there's no shade on Puka, but I can make the argument that at least those 2 pieces are close in value, BTJ and Puka. But then when I look at the value of Purdy versus Judy and Kraft, it's just Purdy by a landslide. And it's just a huge value difference in those 3 assets. At least the other 2 are kind of close. So I'm going to go with the Purdy and BTJ side because really on the other side, you just got Puka and a bunch of like also rans. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the same way here. I would view Puka and BTJ in the same tier. I think they're the same tier of wide receiver. However, if I have to pick one, I'm on the clock and I have to select one. I'm taking Nacua. I have him higher than Brian Thomas right now in my rankings. But they're close enough, like I said, in the same tier to where I can move them and not feel like I'm really losing too much by going to one of the other guys. That said, I'm with you. It's a super flex league. It's 12 team. You move Kraft and Judy and Kraft in a non-tight end premium type of format. You know, that kind of just hurts his value a little bit more. You move those 2 guys for Brock Purdy in a super flex. That's where you're going to win this trade, and that's where the value comes in this trade. So because Brian Thomas and Nacua are the same tier of wide receiver for me, I feel like I'm getting a similar wide receiver asset and then using some of this extra fluff that, let's be honest, Judy and Kraft are probably bench players for you in this type of format that's start 9, and you're getting a quarterback in Brock Purdy that you can plug in as your QB2, and he's going to even give you QB1 spike weeks in that San Francisco offense. So I think you're going to feel pretty good about that. You know, like I said, I would prefer Nacua over Thomas, not by a lot. It's razor thin. But when I can get a similar wide receiver and then just give myself another quarterback in a super flex league, absolutely. I'm going to take the Brock Purdy and the Brian Thomas side.
yeah, this one is pretty open and shut.
Yeah, there's not too much to that one, I think. If it was a different player than like Judy and Kraft, if it was like one player that was consolidated, maybe it would have been a little bit better. But let's go to
Yeah.
this one. 12 teams, super flex, full PPR, half point tight end premium, and start 10. Team 1 is a rebuilding roster. So in a rebuild, they traded away Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, a 26th third round pick, and I guess they had to throw in a couple $100 fab as well. And they get Xavier Worthy and a 2026 first round pick. So really, when it comes down to it, you know, I think Braylon Allen's fine. I'm just going to count him as part of the Breece Hall package. Like, you're just kind of getting the same backfield. And the third and the $100, I just don't care. Is Xavier Worthy in a first round pick worth the New York Jets backfield?
Hell yeah. I'm taking Xavier Worthy in the first round pick all day. And I think the Dynasty community is sleeping on Breece Hall, but in this deal, I'm getting a wide receiver and I'm getting the first. All the other little stuff on the other side, the third round pick, the $100. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I think Xavier Worthy as a long-term fantasy asset probably has more in the tank than Breece Hall and Bray Allen, even though both of those guys are fairly young. They're running backs, and you're getting a first round pick on top of that. I think a lot of people would trade Breece straight up for a first, to be honest. So then we're talking about Xavier Worthy for Braylon Allen, the third, and $100. Like, yeah, I'm going with the Xavier Worthy in the first side.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been saying that Breece Hall is a little bit undervalued by the community. I think there's a little bit of Jet stink that is just like that aroma in the air of that Jet stink. It just feels like people aren't out on or aren't really in on Breece Hall. However, I'm going to give credit to Nick Ercolano at BDGE because he made a video the other day. It was a redraft video, but there was good points about Breece Hall and kind of like how we can expect to look at running backs in 2025. And he was making a point, he's looking at BetMGM and Vegas lines and things like that. And historically, to finish as an RB1, you have to be a running back that's playing for a winning team that's projected to have a winning record. And if you aren't on a team that is going to have a winning record, you have to be dominating in the receiving department as a kind of pass catching running back. So last year, guys that were not on winning teams that dominated in the receiving work would have been guys like Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, and Bijan Robinson. Those guys dominated receiving work but weren't on winning football teams. So when you're making the bet for Breece Hall right now, the Jets are not projected to be a winning team. Are you going to project Breece Hall to be a dominator in the receiving department with Justin Fields there under center? I think that's the bet that you have to make. Some people are probably going to be leaning no in that situation. So do you think Breece can bounce back to RB1 numbers? That's the bet you have to make this year. Does that mean that Breece Hall is dead as a fantasy asset or a dynasty asset? Absolutely not, because we all know contract year for Breece Hall, if he goes somewhere else next year, say Dallas comes knocking on the door because they don't like Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders there, yeah, Breece Hall is going to be an RB1 probably again in fantasy football. So I think that there's a range of outcomes where we're still buying Breece as a buy low, but when you're looking at production, I think there's a chance that a bad year from Breece Hall this year, maybe a year where he goes out as an RB2, the value tanks even lower than where it's at today. So in a rebuilding roster, moving Breece Hall to go get Xavier Worthy in a first round pick, absolutely 100% okay with that. I think Breece is a player that has a wide range of outcomes. Could he improve? Could he decrease in value? Absolutely, either way. I think Worthy's going to stay pretty consistent to where he is, and that first round pick's only going to improve. So if you're making like a market bet here, absolutely Worthy in the first. And I think as far as like roster construction and a rebuild, you just lean the wide receiver over the running back anyways.
Yeah, you got to go in that direction. You don't know what you're going to get out of Breece Hall. A lot of people think that Justin Fields is going to take away a lot of those rushing opportunities over there.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a good chance to happen. Then you got the fact that, if the Jets aren't very good, you're dealing with a negative game script from a game-to-game basis. So negative game script, you're not likely to be seeing a lot of Breece Hall in those games, and they're going to get ugly because that means Justin Fields is passing the ball to catch a team up, and that's always a challenge. So yeah, Xavier Worthy, a lot more shelf life. I think his value in Kansas City will only go up as guys like Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce starts to phase out. And if anything goes wrong with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy is going to be the first guy they look to. So
absolutely,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Let's move on to this next one. The next one that we have here is a double Minnesota Vikings trade. You got a 12-team, one quarterback, half PPR, no tight end premium, and start 8. This is a contending team that is buying Justin Jefferson. They had to give up Jordan Addison, the 105 in 2025, a 26 first round pick, and a 26 second round pick. So you move 2 firsts, a second, and Jordan Addison for Justin Jefferson. So worth the upgrade.
Now, see, here's the difference between the trade earlier and this trade. Number one, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins. We're talking about Justin Jefferson here. So we already know we have a higher value tier one wide receiver asset. And then what do I see on the other side? I don't see a 27 first round pick. That's for damn sure. I see a 25th first round pick. So we kind of got an idea of who's going to go there. Unfortunately, you might be in Quinshon Judkins territory, and that's not looking so fruitful these days. That's not looking so fruitful these days. So you could potentially get a Quinshon Judkins type, even though I imagine that if you were doing a draft today, that pick probably won't be Quinshon Judkins.
No, I mean, I think that pick probably right now is Tet, Hunter, or probably Travion.
See, man, I always get mixed up about where guys fall in this draft. I didn't think either one of those guys would even still be there at 105 because you got Genty.
Yeah, because my thought is like 101 in one quarterback, especially like 101 is probably going to be Genty, 102 is probably going to be Hampton. 103 is Travis, maybe Tet, maybe Travion. And you're at the 105, so you're just going to get one of those last three guys no matter what.
Yeah, I think more than likely it's
Probably
probably Travion. Yeah, especially with Quinshon Judkins beating people. So yeah, so we'll have
We
to.
still hold on. I'm just gonna push this narrative back because we are recording these 1 week in advance. Quinshon Judkins has a court hearing today, is from what I've heard. So we really don't know much about that situation yet. So like before we go out throwing allegations and things and scaring people that like things are gonna happen, we don't know anything as of the time of this recording. So I'm just gonna push back on that for a second. But by the time that the people are watching this, we'll have more information. So this is kind of you're going to be in limbo right now.
Real quick, do you think right about now people are rushing out to try to trade for like Dylan Sampson and stuff like that?
Yes,
and
and
throwing
it's
Quinshon
probably a
Judkins
little bit
shares.
ridiculous. It's probably a little bit premature and a little bit ridiculous. I'll admit, though, last night I was throwing a couple of Quinshon Judkins feelers out there just to see if anybody got scared, because the reality is, like, I think if you look historically at things like this, Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, you know, these guys that get in situations like this with domestic violence and battery and things like that, even like Tyreek Hill's, historically, it hasn't really affected them long term. Maybe these guys get suspensions where they miss a couple games or a couple weeks of the season. But at the end of the day, like most of these guys are playing football again, you know, mid-season. So I was throwing a couple feelers out there just to see if I could get some discounts on Judkins. One offer that I sent out yesterday was, and I thought it was a really decent offer. You tell me what you think, War, but I sent Brian Thomas Jr. and a 26 first-round pick for CeeDee Lamb and Judkins.
That's not a bad offer.
I thought if a guy's panicking on Judkins at all, maybe he's okay just re-rolling Judkins into that first-round pick next year. Like, hey, I spent a first on this year. It already looks like this might be a mess. I'm just gonna re-roll it, and then you know you get BTJ for Lamb. I think that's where I was trying to win the deal there a little bit, but I'm also a contending roster, and he's kind of a rebuilding roster. So I thought maybe you get a younger asset in BTJ, and I just take the contending asset in Lamb.
I mean, honestly, that wasn't a bad offer, to be 100% honest.
And that was it was the first offer that I shot out there. Like if you want to, you know me, I'm never gonna give you my best offer the first time. Like that was just like my initial offer.
Yeah, I probably would have sat and thought about it for sure.
But
I'd have put some thought into that.
I was throwing some feelers out there, but I guess really when it comes down to it, like people are probably all up in arms about Sampson right now. Buy Sampson, whatever. I'll tell you, if you want to get real sneaky, buy Jerome Ford if you want to, because I think Jerome Ford is probably going to get more carries than Sampson if it starts out, you know, where Judkins is suspended. But even then, neither of those guys is the long-term answer, I don't think. So coming back to this trade, though, of the Vikings guys, I think for me, when I'm looking at it, like the 105, you're going to get one of those players that we talked about, the 26 first, yes, Jordan Addison, whatever. Like, and I say whatever, not to be dismissive, but it's like we're talking about Justin Jefferson here. This is wide receiver 2 in Dynasty if you want to, you know, throw Chase at number 1, which I have Chase at number 1. So this is wide receiver 2 in Dynasty for me. Start 8 type of format. You're going to need superstars. You're not really putting a lot of those guys into your starting lineup each week. Justin Jefferson's going to be a bigger difference maker. So yeah, I'm going to take Jefferson, and you're contending. So it all just adds up. It's expensive. Like I said with the Gibbs trade, it's expensive, but it's not overpowering, you know, to where I'm not willing to do it. This is just the price you pay to get elite talent on your roster, and Justin Jefferson's elite.
Yeah, 100%. You got to pay the cost to be the boss.
Damn straight. And this ain't a Godfather offer either. So when we talk about the Godfather offers, like if I'm selling the guy, I need the Godfather offer. I think you got away without having to give a Godfather offer to grab Justin Jefferson. So that's always a bonus. Whether it's playing drafts or sweating pick'ems, there's no off season on Underdog, which means there's still plenty of ways to cash in big this summer. No matter the sport you're watching, Underdog has you covered, and all you have to do is pick higher or lower on your favorite athletes from whatever sport, put them into a pick'em entry, watch the winning multiplier increase, click play, and win real cash. So what are you waiting for? Download Underdog and start playing today. Plus, when you use promo code LEAGUEFFB, Underdog will give you a new customer special, which is a free square for your first pick'em entry, and they will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash, giving you the perfect head start to winning big on Underdog. So if you want to support our show and get in on some daily fantasy sports action, click the link in our description to sign up for Underdog using code LEAGUEFFB. So thank you to our sponsors over at Underdog, and with that out of the way, let's get back into the action.
Hmm.
Let's go to this team here, or this trade. 12 team, 1 quarterback, full PPR, no tight end premium, and a rebuilding roster. The rebuilding roster gets a 27 first and 2 26 second round picks. They gave up Colston, Loveland, and 2 fourths, one of them in 2027 and one of them in 2028. Or you're the Bears guy, but is Colston Loveland really this expensive in a non-tight end premium?
No. No, I mean, as much faith as I have in Colston Loveland, no. As soon as I seen this deal, I was like, uh-oh, you're giving up a 27 first. I got a feeling that our viewers at some point is going to get tired of me hyping 27 first, but I don't care. You got a
Rightfully
27
so.
first.
Like, we should be hyping that class at the moment in time when you have Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, potentially Arch Manning if he goes back to school. Like, there's going to be a lot of talent there, folks.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't even. Yeah, man, there's no way I could even justify this trade, man. I'm taking the draft pick side. Those 2 fourths, and one of those even have nerve to be at 28. Yeah, man.
Let me ask you this, because I'm going with
Okay.
the first and the 2 seconds. There's not even I don't think the value is even close. When it comes down to a non-tight end premium league, 12-team league, is Loveland a first round pick in that format? Or are you taking Matthew Golden, RJ Harvey, Jackson Dart? I guess Jackson Dart, no, because this is a 1 QB. Are you taking RJ Harvey? Are you taking Matthew Golden over Colston Loveland? Are you maybe taking a Luther Burden over a Colston Loveland in non-tight end premium?
Yeah. Once you get down to Luther Burden, I think you got to take Colston Loveland. But it's weird to even talk about non-tight end premium leagues. I'm just not even accustomed to those anymore.
It devalues the position so much that it makes it to where, like, if I don't have Bowers, Kittle, or McBride, like, I just don't want a tight end. I'd rather just plug in some guy Jake Ferguson in my lineup at the end of the bench.
Yeah, if you don't have tight end premium, you should just honestly just have starting lineup slots that are like multiple choice and not have like a complete tight end position.
Remove the tight end, put an extra receiver flex, a wide receiver tight end flex.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. I mean, but yeah, to answer your question, in a non-tight end premium league, yeah, you got to take Colston after all those guys you mentioned, maybe with the exception of Luther Burden.
Caleb Johnson, are you taking Caleb Johnson over Loveland?
No.
Okay. So he's probably still a fringe first round pick for you, but the reality is you get to go off of like a fringe first round pick in this year's draft for a 27 first next year. I mean, in 2027, and then 2 seconds next year. So yeah, I mean, that's just the way that I was cutting it. I was curious as to like how you would view Loveland in a non-tight end premium. I think for me, like the fact that it's 1 QB2 kind of just makes this even more ancient dinosaur type of league format. But it's just, I don't know, man. Let's upgrade this league and get this to a super flex, at least a half point tight end premium, and then y'all can start cooking with gas.
Andrew, quick question.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're going to get a chance to touch on this. And I don't know by the time this video comes out if this would even be relevant, because I believe we got some training camps starting here soon. What do
Yeah,
you
this
make? A lot of
upcoming
those
week.
guys you mentioned are second round picks. What do you make of this move for all these second round picks not signing with their teams right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it's just something that's been a little bit more, I guess, in our face this year, because especially with the Jahmyr Stewart situation where he's been holding out the first round contract, I think that's made things a little bit more prominent. But we are having a record where like a lot of these guys aren't signing contracts. I don't really anticipate this to be an issue for anybody long term. Like at the end of the day, I do believe all of these contracts are going to get signed. Like what the hell are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like all of these guys want to play football in the National Football League as a professional and get paid millions of dollars. That's what they're going to do. So is it going to stop anybody from signing?
Isn't like the entire second round like unsigned?
30 at the time of this recording, 30 of 32 second round picks have not signed their contract.
That's
Only
wild.
2 guys in the second round have signed their contract right now.
And if you think about some of the guys in the second round, we're talking about what, like Trey Harris, he hasn't signed. Luther Burden hasn't signed. I think
that second round has
Travion
like
Henderson. I don't know if Travion Henderson signed or not. He was a second rounder.
I'm not sure. Judkin's contract isn't signed, so this little hiccup that he has is definitely not great for the money.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys. Jaden Higgins is a player that was drafted in the second round. Like the reality is most of the names that you're going to list, 30 of the 32 haven't signed. So, it's interesting. But here's the thing too. All of these guys had rookie minicamp already, and they showed up and played at rookie minicamp. So it's not like they weren't, showing up to practice because they hadn't signed this. The only one who wasn't practicing and why it was a big issue was Jahmyr Stewart. Jahmyr Stewart refused to practice until he signed the contract. So that was why that was an issue. I just don't think it's going to be a big deal. All of these guys are going to end up signing their contracts. I saw, some people saying, start moving Quentin Johnston up your draft boards because Trey Harris hasn't signed his contract. I'm not doing that. Like, I think Trey Harris is the better player, and I'm just going to stick with that. Like, I don't know.
They said it got to do with collusion or something came out about collusion, and that might play a role in them not signing.
A lot of my understanding is a lot of this is about guaranteed money. All the players, the agents, the NFLPA, like they want these guys to get a little bit more guaranteed money in those rookie contracts, and that's why people are holding out. And the NFL teams are not necessarily wanting to give more guaranteed money to unproven rookies. That's just kind of what it is.
Not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
So it's kind of a standstill, I think, at the moment in time. But again, like I want to just preface and say, like, that is my understanding of the situation at the moment in time. I haven't dug deeply into it because, again, I kind of feel like it's a non-issue for the most part for fantasy football. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, you're right. Training camp starts this upcoming week. By the time that people are seeing this, we're gonna have a training camp video on the channel, and it's gonna be like my top 32 things that I'm watching. One thing from every single NFL team that I'm watching during training camp. So season's right around the corner, man. We're getting real close, so it's getting pretty exciting. But long story short on this trade, despite the rookie holdouts and the Colston Lovelands and the non-tight end premiums, give me the first round pick here.
Yeah, same.
All right, let's go to this next. What?
Sorry, Colston.
Dude's apologizing because he's a fan. All right, let's move on to the 12-team Superflex. Full PPR, half-point tight end premium, and a start 10. You're trading away Ja'Marr Chase and Alvin Kamara. What you get is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rome Odunze, a 26 first-round pick, and a 2028 second-round pick. So you are moving the biggest fantasy football wide receiver name in the game as of this moment, Ja'Marr Chase. But is Amon-Ra, Rome, a first and a second, is that the Godfather offer you need? Or do you still want more?
Bro, I was just sitting there saying, there's your Godfather offer. Because no matter how I rationalize it, if you come to the table with Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Rome Odunze, and the second, even though it's a 28 second, I'm tired of saying 28. But for the sake of this discussion, I'll just say the 28 second. You're like, for Ja'Marr Chase, that in of itself is like a good starting point of an offer. And you could scale up a little bit from there if you need to. And then that's when you get to the 26 first for Kamara. And I'm sorry if anybody's still offering you a 26 first or a first round pick for Kamara in general at this day and age, you should probably take that offer. So that's where I'm at with that. Like, I kind of honestly, if someone came to me with this deal, it would take trading away Ja'Marr Chase just feels really weird. But like, if I did do it, I would want something like this in return.
Yeah, I mean, I think this comes down to whether or not you believe Rome Odunze takes the step forward. I believe he takes the step forward. That's why I'm confidently going to go with the Amon-Ra side here. It comes down to that. If Odunze doesn't take the step forward, the Chase side is probably going to win this deal. But at the end of the day, Amon-Ra St. Brown's a player that's been a top 5 fantasy football wide receiver multiple times. He's consistent. It's not flashy. He's probably not going to be the number 1. Ja'Marr Chase has that boom potential in those big weeks. But at the end of the day, you're getting a guy who's consistently finishing as a top 5 PPR fantasy wide receiver. And really, if you think about, the changes that have happened in Detroit, when you look at like what could go wrong with the departure of Ben Johnson and things like that, we always talk about, maybe JMO takes a little bit less of the pie. Maybe Sam Laporta isn't as good. Nobody says Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't going to get the football. It doesn't matter how you cut it. He's the number 1. He's the guy. So I'm not worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown. We talked about the offensive line getting a little bit worse, and you mentioned to me that could affect Goff. Still, at the end of the day, a little bit less time, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to still see the ball. I just feel like this is a player who, it might be name fatigue with Amon-Ra at this point, and maybe it's also the fact that he's kind of boring, and I also think that some people think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is kind of corny. Like, I think some people feel like that is kind of the case too. He's not as exciting as Chase and Jefferson and even Neighbors. So people are bored of Amon-Ra, it feels like. I still think he's a superstar. So yeah, give me Amon-Ra the first, the second, Odunze, and I'll give you Chase. In a start 10-12 team, this is the offer that I need. And if Odunze hits the way I think he can, which is becoming a top 15 wide receiver for fantasy football, I'm walking away with this feeling real good.
Lord, I hope your prediction is right, man. I hope your prediction is right. I
I
really
just
do.
think he's
My
the best
soul.
wide receiver on that offense. And if they don't use him, it's a travesty. But again, this is me just speaking as I think a fan of Romo Dunze. I just think he's the best wide receiver on the team.
I mean, for your prediction to not come true, it will honestly take Caleb being a bust and Ben Johnson just being not
Failing
what
as a
we
coach.
think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and I don't feel like either of those things, both of those things ain't happening. Because I honestly believe that, and people are going to kill me here, mainly if there's Bears fans listening.
I'm sitting here
Because I
thinking though,
honestly,
like I'm like it would just be Bears behavior to have both of those things be true.
check it out. What's more likely to happen? Caleb Williams being a bust, right? Or Ben Johnson being who we thought he was and turning Tyson Bagent into a Sam Darnold situation.
I think it's more likely that Caleb is a bust than Ben Johnson's a failure as a coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So when you think about that, I think that means that two of the options are in Roma Dunze favor. Caleb not being a buzz, Ben Johnson being real and turning Tyson Bagent into a serviceable enough quarterback that Roma Dunze is still able to eat. All in
I don't
all,
want
I
to think
think,
about either of those things to be real
yeah,
though.
Caleb would be good and Ben Johnson would be good and Roma would be good. God damn it.
God damn. Anyway, that's just a bad. I don't want to think about that this morning. I'm moving on. I think the Bears are gonna break out, man. That's what I think. But you said the people are gonna kill you. Who cares? Who cares? Next trade,
Look at the
10
orange
team.
light. Look at the orange light. People just follow the light. Follow the light.
10 team, one quarterback, full PPR, no tight end premium. Chunky Polar Bear says he's going for a three-peat. So he trades for Saquon Barkley and Drake Maye. What he had to give up, actually very interesting to talk about this today. Michael Penix, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, and a 26th second round pick. So that is what he gave up. Obviously, he made this before the Quinshon Judkins news came out last night. But how do you feel about it?
Chunky Polar Bear, you got the right name because this trade, you a cold motherfucker. You got Saquon and you got Drake May. Even without the Quinshon Judkins news, man, I think I'm taking the Saquon Barkley and Drake May side, man. I know Saquon is a older running back, but at the very least, you're going to get 2 to 3 more years of dominance from Saquon Barkley. I do believe that. Drake May, they think he's baby Josh Allen, and honestly, that's enough to roll the dice. Honestly, I'll be real. I'll be completely real. I would honestly probably take Drake May if the trade was just Drake May for all those assets on the right side. I would heavily consider just taking Drake May. Like, that's not enough for Drake May, in my opinion. And you're getting Drake May and Saquon Barkley. So
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
cold month.
I'm looking at it. It's like even if there's no Judkins thing going on and everything's back business as usual, like it's probably Judkins and Caleb and maybe the second even thrown in to get you up tiered to Saquon. If you want to be very cautious with it, you could say Judkins and Caleb to go get you Saquon, but then it's Penix in a second for Maye. I'm taking Maye. Like, and then I was gonna lean Saquon there in that the 2-for-1. So like, yeah, there's not a way that I can cut this where I'm going with the Judkins and the Caleb Johnson and the Penix side and like I said, throwing the uncertainty of what we know at this time of the recording in on the Judkins situation only further incentivizes me to take the Maye and the Barkley side. Not that I would be panicked on Judkins, but like he's a player that I think obviously the range of outcomes now has gotten wider where we could see a value decrease from Judkins. And probably if you have Judkins, you're probably not selling at this point in time. You're holding or you're going to be trying to buy the dip. So yeah, it's just not great to see you selling Judkins. But when you're getting Barkley and Maye, like absolutely. So yeah, just let me do it. I'm taking the Maye and the Barkley side.
Yeah, I think that's easy peasy right there. Lemon squeezy.
Also, is it crazy for me? I think I'm going to start some controversy here, and this isn't necessarily by purpose, but is it crazy for me to think? I feel like all offseason, everybody's been pretty high on Penix. Penix is going to be this. Penix is taking the step forward. Is it crazy for me to think that Penix isn't like a difference maker?
Honestly, I'll be completely honest. I haven't thought one iota about Michael Penix this offseason.
Like,
Not at all. I haven't thought about him at all. Like,
I'll be honest, dude. I think he's like the ceiling for Penix is like Tua Tagovailoa without the concussion history.
yes, I think that's honestly the best description of what he can be. But does it really matter if you're Tua Tagovailoa with knee injuries instead of head injuries? So I mean,
Yeah, I don't
that's
know.
probably what Michael Penix is. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that
and
just I just keep doing your job. Just hand the ball to Bijan and throw the ball to Drake May. That's all I care about. Like your stats mean nothing. You're just
game
a
manager.
dude that's yeah. I'm sorry for the disrespect. I just feel like he's the runt of the litter in that draft class of quarterbacks. So
Yeah, and he's the one guy that like got drafted higher than everyone expected, and we all were like, "Oh, what the hell?" Like that was the one that shocked everybody. So like, yeah, I don't know. I just think Penix to me, he's like probably there's Penix stands out there that view him, I think, much more than he's actually worth. That's not like to say that Penix is going to be bad. I think he can be fine. I just don't think in a 10-team, one quarterback format like this, he's anything of a difference maker for your roster. Like Drake May has the rushing upside to finish as a top 5 quarterback in fantasy if things hit. Michael Penix can never be a top 5 fantasy quarterback unless he throws for 50 touchdowns like Joe Burrow does. That's the only way he can do that, and I don't believe that Penix can do that.
Polar, get in the comment section and let us know if you're the Andrew of that league or if everybody you're playing with is just bums. Because I just realized that you're going for your three-peat and you just got Drake May and Saquon Barkley for a bunch of running backs and the game manager. So
God damn it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next one, I think this might be the last one or second to last one, but this is a 12-team super flex, half PPR, no tight end premium, 3 starting wide receivers, and a start 9 type of format. Talking about consolidation. You trade away Jalen Hurts, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, a first in 2026, a first in 2027, and a third round pick in 2026. You get Brock Bowers and Bo Nix. You definitely consolidated a ton of assets down into 2, but War, no tight end premium. We're paying up for Bowers. Is it still worth it?
Bowers was one of the guys that you said that could still thrive in a non-tight end premium spot. I will tell you this, and this might be a little controversial. I do have some concerns, some small concerns, but concerns nonetheless about Brock Bowers under Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has never produced a stud tight end. He's never produced one. So I'm hoping that Brock Bowers' amazing talent can overcome tradition. Because honestly, if Brock Bowers struggles under Pete Carroll, I'm firing Pete Carroll. That's just me. As for this trade, dude, this is one of those ones where I don't necessarily know why it was made, bro. Like, I like Mark Andrews. Nah, he's all right. I like Xavier Likely.
We get
But you
both.
combine those two, yeah, you combine those two into one entity, and I like the entity. Then you're talking about Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix. I'm sorry. You could wish upon a star. You could throw a penny in the well and wish a well. You can do any type of wish you want to, get Make-A-Wish, be a Make-A-Wish kid. Bo Nix is not and will not be on the level of Jalen Hurts. Okay? It doesn't matter. So now we're talking about a winning side of Brock Bowers, which obviously I think me and you pretty much agree on that. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely is less of an asset than Brock Bowers. But then on the other side, Jalen Hurts, there's still a big gap there to me between Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix. So
I
now we're
agree.
talking about that gap, and you're getting now 27 first, a 26 first, a 26. It's not a third, nobody cares. You're getting a 27 and a 26 first. I'm going to have to go with the Mark Andrews, Jalen Hurts, and the 2 first side, and I do not know why this trade was made because you probably should have just kept what you had.
Yeah, this feels like, I hate to say it, but it feels like off-season boredom is
Yeah.
the reason why this trade happened. Because quite frankly, and this is probably controversial, but please hear me out when I'm saying this, audience. In a non-tight end premium, I think there is a larger argument that Brock Bowers is probably more likely to benefit you being tiered down at the tight end position than he is to be sitting as an elite, super valuable asset on your fantasy football team. And that is not to say that Brock Bowers cannot be a difference difference maker in non-tight end premium. I just said he could be. It's also not to say that Brock Bowers isn't talented. It's to say the value at which you are investing into that position can be better utilized by spreading that out somewhere else in a non-tight end premium asset or league, especially when it is half PPR, not full PPR. It's half PPR too. So you're not getting the extra tight end premium and you're not getting the extra half point per reception, which is where Brock Bowers made his money. So really what I'm looking at this as, you are down tiering your quarterback to upgrade at probably the least important position in your lineup, and it's costing you startable tight end players in Likely and Andrews that can eventually become 2 startable assets, because I think Andrews and Likely this time next year are probably not on the same football team, and it costs you 2 first-round picks and the downgrade at quarterback. So this is definitely not what I would be doing. If you wanted to upgrade the tight end position, I'll be real, you could have kept Jalen Hurts and moved probably those 2 firsts, or Likely and Andrews and a first, and just got Kittle. And that's even an overpay for Kittle. You could have got something like that, and it would have gave you the same type of production or similar production to Brock Bowers without having to pay the Lamborghini taking it off the lot with 0 miles type of price tag. So I think at the end of the day, like, love Brock Bowers, think Brock Bowers is a superstar. In this specific format, you are paying to up tier so much of your roster and so much of your value that you have accumulated onto the roster to maybe benefit you just a little bit more long term. And I just don't think that that's a very smart use of your assets. So yes, it's exciting. I got Bo Nix and Brock Bowers, younger, probably more fun names to have on my roster. But at the end of the day, when it comes to point scoring, I think Jalen Hurts and then using those assets to get a Kittle or something else probably was a better use of your money or your assets. That's just my thoughts.
This person has to believe that Bo Nix is better than Jalen Hurts in order for him to feel comfortable.
Or at least can get there.
Yeah, like, that's the only thing I can think of, because no sane, rational person will look at this deal and accept it, giving up all those damn assets for Bo Nix in particular. You know, Bo Nix is solid. Brock Bowers, he's a name, a huge name. Like, Bo Nix is a solid quarterback, but Jalen Hurts still, like, supersedes that altogether.
Is it even crazy for me to think, War, that you could have take the Ravens tight ends and Hurts and Bo Nix out of the deal, right? Is it crazy to think that you could have probably bought Trey McBride for the 2 firsts and the 3rd, and you would have got Trey McBride, who is a young tight end that's also an elite point scorer like Brock Bowers is?
I think it's quite possible you could have did that, depending on how the person views and ranks Trey McBride, yes.
And again, it's a non-tight end premium, so like, to some people that might be an overpay, is 2 firsts and a 3rd for a non-tight end premium type of tight end. Like, maybe I'm undervaluing the format, but I don't think I am. Because I know how bad tight ends are in that type of format. And like I said, Bowers is one of the elites, but I just think that there's a big enough gap between Hurts and Nix, and there's so much value that you are investing into a tight end where I think, hear me out, War, I'm going to ask one more question for you. Likelihood scenarios. Is it more likely that Brock Bowers' value increases over the next 12 months, or is it more likely that Brock Bowers' value decreases over the next 12 months?
Decreases because of Pete Carroll.
Okay, so we're betting where the house money is actually favoring the decrease in value. It just doesn't feel like a smart bet for me at the moment in time.
Yeah, it doesn't. I agree. It doesn't,
and
honestly.
Best case scenario, he remains the same. And then we probably are still looking at this a year from now and saying, yeah, I overpaid, but I didn't lose by a mile.
Yeah, just like a car, this thing's gonna depreciate here.
I just, that's my argument. Again, folks, do not hear what I'm not saying. I love Brock Bowers. I think he's a great player. Just this type of investment in this type of format, to me, doesn't feel like the smart decision, especially when it comes with down tiering my quarterback that I believe is a Konami code top 5 type of player at the quarterback position in a super flex format.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much to even turn the screws on this deal, man. I feel like it's not even close.
Yeah. It's an aggressive move, that's for sure. But let's move on to this last one. I think this is the last trade. And I apologize for it being so small on screen. There's just so many freaking assets in this deal. But 12-team super flex, 6-point passing touchdown, full PPR, 1-point tight end premium, and start 10. You get Patrick Mahomes and Puka Nacua. What you had to give up was Bashal Tutin, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Warren, a 26 first, a 27 first, a 26 second, and 2 27 seconds. So just to summarize summarize this for the folks at home, it's 2 firsts over the next 2 years, 3 seconds over the next 2 years, Tyler Warren, Bashal Tootin, Jalen Milroe for Pat Mahomes and Puka Nacua. War, a lot of assets. How do you feel about it?
I'm taking Pat Mahomes and Puka Nacua. I can make the argument that those two assets together should be getting like 4 firsts at the minimum. Like, to be completely honest, Tyler Warren, nice asset. Bashal Tootin, we don't know. He doesn't block. Who's the third asset? Because I can't say it's too small. I can't even see it. Jalen Milroe, we don't know. So yeah, man, I'm going to the known quantities of Patrick Mahomes and Puka Nacua. I don't even think this is close, man. I don't know if you disagree or agree with that. I don't think it's close. A lot of those assets on the right side are literally just like fluff. In this type of deal, I do not care about the second round picks. I do not care about Bashal Tootin. I do not care about Jalen Milroe. So it's pretty much just Tyler Warren, that 26 first and that 27 first, and like that comes nowhere close to Patrick Mahomes and Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I mean, 99% of the time when you're taking two assets of this value and or you're breaking it up into, what is this, 8 assets, I'm going to pick the 2 asset side, because at the end of the day, we've talked about this war on multiple occasions. You never want to take $1 and turn it into 4 quarters. I don't want that change. Get that change out of my pocket. I don't even want it. I just want the dollar bill. That's just the way it is. So when I'm taking Nacua and Mahomes and looking at what the value of these players should be, you're right. Like, I think 4 firsts is kind of where it should be. You can argue in a 12-team super flex, 6-point passing touchdown at that, Mahomes is at minimum 2 points. I don't care how you feel about him not being elite anymore. He's still 2 firsts at minimum. Nacua is probably the same thing right now. And I think that's just being cautious, is saying it's 4 firsts. I think more realistically, it's probably 5 or 6. Like, that's kind of how I'm viewing it. Probably 5. 6 feels too much.
Yeah, I was playing it safe.
But when I'm looking at this other side of the deal, I have 2 of those first. Tyler Warren probably counts-ish as a first in this format. You spend a first-round pick on him, it's a full point tight end premium. That's 3. Do Tootin, Milroe, and 3 seconds equal the extra first that I want? Maybe from a value standpoint. You put it in a trade calculator and keep trade cut this shit, it probably tells you, yeah, it's fair, but at the end of the day, I don't want that. I don't care. So the value, yeah, you probably calculated this guy. That's my thought process, is you probably put the calculator in, send the screenshot, and the guy said, you know what, adds up. Or the guy saw your offer, put it in the calculator and said, you know what, adds up. That's probably what happened here. But at the end of the day, there's just no way I'm cutting this where I'm preferring to take the dart throw first, the dart throw seconds, a dart throw of 3 rookie assets in Warren, Milroe, and Tootin, and give up my bona fide studs in Nacua and Mahomes. There's no way I'm doing that.
Bro, I can make the argument that the only true valuable assets on the right side is that 26 first and 27 first. Because
I think you're undervaluing Warren. I think you're undervaluing Warren in the format.
I know. Listen to me though, because I'm going somewhere with this one.
Okay.
Am I tripping, or has Warren's landing spot severely diminished what people are thinking about as far as like what he can do? Because the player that he was hyped up to be before the draft is not talked about the player that's actually in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
and I think it's because of that.
It definitely feels like people have like gotten way less excited about Tyler Warren, because he was a guy. Keep in mind, 3 months ago, people were saying he's not Brock Bowers, but he's an elite tight end prospect. He's not blank, but he could be a George Kittle at the next level. He could be, like, people were talking about Warren like he was going to be the next great tight end for fantasy, and they don't really do that anymore. I agree with you. I think Warren's undervalued at this point in time. I think he's a player that still very much in this offense can be one of the top target earners. The quarterback play is going to be a little bit shaky, but I think we're playing Dynasty fantasy football. Next year, the quarterback of this Colts team could be an Arch Manning, could be somebody who's, you know, a much safer asset. And then we're looking at Tyler Warren like, damn, we did undervalue him a lot as a rookie. And I think people are going to look at that and be a little bit mad that they didn't buy the dip, because I agree with you. There is a dip in this perception of Tyler Warren where we are no longer looking at him the way we did pre-draft. And it's probably just because I talked about the Jet stink that was sitting there with Breece Hall. I think there's a Colt stink as well. And I think a lot of that stink is coming from a guy named Anthony in that locker room. I think that guy's really stinky. Probably needs to get some deodorant in the locker. but it's making everybody else in the locker room feel a little bit stinky as well.
I agree. Whatever happened to the great Adonai Mitchell? What happened to him? We got a wanted poster for him. Anthony
Mr.
Richard hit
Safe
the
and
body.
all reliable Michael Pittman Jr. We don't even talk about him anymore.
We got to get that stink out of there, man. Where the Glade plug in at?
We were talking about one of the best fantasy running backs that we've had for the last half decade, Jonathan Taylor. Afterthought. We don't even care. Most people don't care.
You know, man, I hate to say this, man. I honestly don't feel good about the future prospect to that team. Like when you add up every single thing that's going on, the ownership, the quarterback position, I feel like they're going to have a very toxic few years or even longer. I hate to say it.
Here's my prediction. We're going to see this time a little bit earlier in the offseason next offseason, after this NFL season. Shane Steichen will no longer be the head coach of this football team. Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones will no longer be here as quarterbacks on this team. And very likely it will be the start of what is the new brand of the Indianapolis Colts. What that is going to look like, I have no idea, but I'm telling you right now, what we have in 2025 for the Colts, this is going to be the last of what we see, because I don't think they're going to win a lot of games. And to be honest, they've given Steichen a very long leash, and he has, remember, when he came over, he was deemed as the Jalen Hurts guru that developed Jalen Hurts, turned Jalen Hurts into a superstar. He was talked about as that guru. And they said, oh, that's why it's going to work with Anthony Richardson. That's why it's going to. It hasn't. I think we're starting to realize that, hey, Shane Steichen benefited from playing with Jalen Hurts, who's just a damn stud. And the Eagles are a good football team, and Shane Steichen just got hired because they were a good football team.
So he's Matt Nagy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think the first person that's going to get fired is Chris Ballard, because he's been on the hot seat for like, I don't know how many years now. And definitely, I honestly see him out the door before Shane Steichen, or they're going to be fired simultaneously. Like that new owner, she be patrolling the sidelines like she's a coach. She already has that I'm going to fire everybody look. So I think it's curtains for them, because I don't see any way or magic they can have this year that's going to get them to be good enough to where she doesn't fire everybody.
I'm telling you right now, I see the future. I see it. It's going to be, everyone gets fired this offseason. They're going to talk with the Manning family and say, who do you guys want to be Arch's coach? Who do you want to be? Because we want Arch to follow in the steps of Peyton here as the Colts Indianapolis quarterback. They're going to fire everybody. The Manning family is going to say, hey, Arch, go back for your senior year. Go play your senior year, because the Colts are going to be the number one pick in the draft next year, and we're lining up the coach for you. And then the Colts are going to be the coach?
Yeah.
No way. No way. I think he likes his little broadcasting Manning cast and stuff like that. I don't think he wants to go coach. But also, I think that'd be really tough to have like two Mannings. I don't know. That's a lot of expectations I think you bring into the building. But I think they're going to, I just see the future. I think Arch goes back in 2027. The Colts are the number one pick in 2027. They draft him, and then it's the new Peyton, I guess the new Manning era in Indianapolis. And that's going to be the savior of the franchise, which I think he's going to be a very good quarterback.
I think all three of the Manning legacy teams are going to all be fighting for Arch Manning. I think you're going to have the Colts one Arch Manning, you're going to have the Saints one Arch Manning, and you might even want to have the Giants one Arch Manning. I think Dart's going to be the dude. You like Dart.
I like Dart, and he has the Ole Miss connection with Eli, and I think he's a stud. I think he's pretty damn good.
I can see that. Eli,
but it may also be because of the aura clip farming that's been happening on TikTok and the Jackson Dart edits. My favorite one that I've seen recently is the he had an interview with John Gruden, and he said, what does Coach Gruden want you to do here? And he's like, go out of bounds. And he said, well, what did you do? Ran his ass over. Shows a truck. He hit him with the hit stick, ran his ass over. I like that mentality. I love it. That's like the crazy Josh Allen mentality that I saw early on.
Yeah, I also feel like you see a little JJ McCarthy in him, because he got swag and all that shit. So
maybe I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how these guys develop. But that is the last trade here today. So that does put us at the end of the episode. As always, folks, all 10 trades that we talked about in this episode were pulled from our free Discord. So there is a free Discord linked in the description. I'm going to put it in the comment section as well. There's going to be a link that'll take you there. If you've never joined that Discord, it's free to join, no risk in doing that. Go in there, go to the Dynasty Trade Reviews channel, Dynasty Trade Show, Trade Reviews. It's one of those two names. You'll see it. Submit some trades for us on our next episode. Also, if you like this content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We want you guys here all year round. And last but not least, where can they find you at if they want some additional content from you?
Well, you can check us out, our shorts that we post weekly on the Crimson Mask Pro Wrestling YouTube channel, Crimson Mask Pro. But you can also find us real soon on the YouTube channel, The Crimson Mask Show. We post our long form content. We're finally going towards getting into it. Might record something today, might be next week, but I'm going to record something. You feel me? So check us out, follow us, like us, subscribe us, all that cool stuff. Check us
There you
out.
go. Check them out. Show us some love. Talk to you guys in the comment section. Excited to see what comes of this one. We'll see you on the next
I
episode.
don't think we did too bad, pissed them off too bad this week. I think we took it easy on them this week.
Yeah, I mean, there was no Green Bay Packer conversation today, so I think we're all right.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one. Till then, peace out.